We're coming to the very end of 2025, and somehow No Man's Sky is still going from strength to strength. Hello Games are still updating it, still finding new ways to make us say, okay, fine, I'll dive right back in. Now, today we're going to be looking at how well 2025 treated No Man's Sky, so talking about the good, the bad, the weird, and the Hello Games did what now moments. This isn't a decade long retrospective, we're focusing purely on what happened this year, the updates we got, how they landed, what they added to the game, and what the future might look like as we head towards 2026 and beyond. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get stuck in. Before we talk about 2025 in detail, let's rewind for a second, not all the way back to launch, we don't need to reopen that emotional wound, but instead, let's set the stage. Heading into 2025, No Man's Sky had already completed one of the biggest comebacks in gaming history. We've had multiple expansions, visual overhauls, quality of life buffs, pets, mechs, living ships, you name it, they added it all for free. By late 2024, the game was in a ridiculously healthy place. Player numbers were up, the community was buzzing, and Hello Games was showing the same energy they had on day one. But this time without the questionable PR. The vibe going into 2025 was basically, they've already given us everything, so what else could they possibly add? With the exception of Worlds Part 2, which we kind of already knew would be coming at some point. So, with the stage set, expectations high, and the community ready for anything, 2025 got rolling, and honestly, it did not disappoint, though it definitely delivered a few surprises along the way. Alright, so let's first talk about that first update of the year, which of course was Worlds Part 2. So, as I said, Worlds Part 2 was probably the one update we all expected at some point, given the fact that its predecessor was the first ever major update with Part 1 attached to it. But the Part 2 update kind of kicked things off with something the community has been begging for since, well, honestly, since dinosaurs still roamed the planets, and that was gas giants. Now, personally, I had wondered whether they'd ever add gas giants in, because in theory, you cannot land on a gas giant because, well, they're made up entirely of gas. But Hello Games obviously added a twist because we can in fact land on them, as you can see. Gas giants are also the largest planets ever added into the game, and it's definitely making use of some of the tech they've definitely been using for Light No Fire, which at this point is to be expected with most major updates. The World's Part 2 update also expanded on planet variety, gave a terrain overhaul by introducing sharper terrain, more dramatic landscapes. Basically, the game said, what if exploring didn't just feel new, what if it felt dangerously new? Some planets now look like they were designed by someone whose only creative prompt was spiky. And honestly, I respect the commitment. We've also got new, totally deep ocean worlds, and these aren't your standard chill underwater zones. Oh no, these go down like, well, I should have brought 2 submarines down and a therapy appointment. Exploration focused players loved this, it added genuine depth, literally. And for everyone else, it was a great new place to panic swim while trying to remember which button activates your oxygen tank. Another thing that came with the World's Part 2 update was a bit of a lighting overhaul, like sunsets, ambient light, shadows, all got a bit of an upgrade. The whole universe looks more dynamic, a bit more alive, and definitely more screenshot worthy. Like seriously, I now spend loads of time just taking photos of rocks rather than actually collecting them and using their resources. But what did the No Man's Sky community think of Worlds Part 2? Now, overall, they thought it was a fantastic start to 2025. It reminded players why No Man's Sky works so well. When the universe itself evolves, exploration then stays exciting. It didn't reinvent the wheel, but it absolutely gave the wheel a shiny coat of paint, some hydraulic suspension, and maybe a neon underglow. You'd be hard pressed to find a veteran No Man's Sky player who didn't like the World's Part 2 update, or World's Part 1 for that matter, to be honest. But as an open act for 2025, Worlds Part 2 was very, very strong. New worlds, new visuals, new geological hazards to trip over, and it set the tone for a year of updates that didn't slow down, not for a second. And speaking of updates that nobody expected, let's talk about the next one, which was Relics. So the Relics update was a much smaller update, much more focused on smaller additions compared to the planet-shaking Worlds Part 2. So if Worlds Part 2 was a full course meal, Relics was like a really nice dessert. Not essential, but definitely appreciated. Now Relics obviously introduced the ability to dig up ancient alien fossils, entire skeletons, fragments, and strange old bones that make you question what on earth or not on Earth, actually lived here. This update turned part of the game into an intergalactic antique hunting roadshow. Today on Space Pickers, we found a 6 million-year-old vertebrate worth absolutely nothing, but it looks amazing in my base museum. I mean, yes, you could assemble these relics and display them in your bases. I've showcased some on my channel recently as well. It also introduced fossil trading, combat with these stone relics, a new abandoned mode, amongst a few other things. Relics wasn't a huge update, but it wasn't meant to be. It didn't try to remake the universe. It just gave explorers something new to chase, dig up, and then shove into their incredibly disorganized storage rooms. And alongside the Relics update, Hello Games dropped a themed expedition to go with it, giving players like fossil collection, cave exploration, and running around while running away from underground hazards like a panicked space badger. In short, it was a small update with fun vibes and lots of bones to collect and display, and it went down well once again with the No Man's Sky community as something a little different and something that we never thought we'd have. And following on from Relics, a couple months later, there was the Beacon update. And once again, this wasn't a game changing size update like Worlds Part 1 or 2, but it was a really neat addition to the planetary settlements, which were, let's be honest, in need of a bit of love. Beacon gave players more control over their settlements, better management tools, more building options, smarter villages, and less of those random decisions like your settlement wants to build a third sewage processor. Do you want to approve it? Now, the choices felt a bit more meaningful, and the settlements finally felt like something you could build with your NPCs, not something you get endless complaints about. A couple of standout features were the new autophage settlements and the ability to manage multiple settlements at any given time. So yes, you can now be the proud owner of several intergalactic towns, so you're now legally allowed to cause economic crisis in more than one location at a time. Winning. Now, whilst Beacon didn't reinvent anything, that wasn't a goal again. Instead, it improved a system that had been sitting quietly in the corner for a while and suddenly made it worth revisiting, and the players loved it for that. So while Relics and Beacon weren't massive updates, together they added depth and small new additions like skeletons and whatnot, and this kept 2025 momentum going. Until the big one. Yes, Worlds Part 1 and 2 were huge, like as huge as Next Beyond Origins before them, but Voyagers was a total game changer, and something a lot of players, myself included, never thought we'd actually get. And that was, of course, totally customizable ships. If Worlds Part 2 refreshed exploration even further, and then Relics and Beacon filled out the details a little bit, Voyagers basically took a sledgehammer to the game ceiling and said, actually, what if you built an entire ship from scratch? This update wasn't just big, it was borderline outrageous. Hello Games basically added a whole new game inside No Man's Sky. And the headline feature, the thing that everyone freaked out about, was the introduction of the fully customizable Corvette class starships. It's like Starfield's shipbuilder and Lego had a baby, and that baby drank too much warp fuel. You don't just fly these ships, you walk inside them, you decorate them, you place crew stations, you build out engine rooms, cargo bays, weapon sections, med bays, even weird little corners that serve no purpose except vibes. The No Man's Sky community went crazy with the Voyagers update. I saw all sorts of weird and wonderful designs on Reddit. In fact, I still do, let's be honest. Players immediately started building everything from luxury cruise liners to dystopian metal death bricks, and literally everything in between. Some Corvettes generally look like they should require planning permission. You could swap out huge exterior segments, engines, hull plates. Like, no two Corvettes looked alike. No Man's Sky subreddit was basically on fire for weeks. Honestly, there are still loads of awesome new designs being put out there to this day. I would definitely check them out if you haven't done already. But we didn't stop at ship design. Oh no, Voyagers brought in the multi-crew system, letting your friends operate stations aboard your ship. Suddenly, your ship wasn't just transportation, it became a place, a home, probably best known as a mobile base, I guess, a multiplayer hub. Basically, it was a Millennium Falcon, but with more storage and fewer legal complications. It's hard to express just how big the Voyagers update was. Like, we're talking about a new ship class, a full construction system, an interior building system, new missions, new crew AI, major tech changes behind the scenes, again, probably from Light No Fire, which means We're going to have something similar for water-based ships in Light No Fire. But like any one of these smaller updates could have been a normal update, and Voyagers delivered all of them at once and then casually strolled away like it was no big deal. And here's the wild part, 'cause Voyagers didn't just make waves with the No Man's Sky community and anyone who played No Man's Sky at any given point. It caused a full-on tsunami. After the update launched, the No Man's Sky player count shot up to its highest level in the game's history. So even higher than its launch, higher than Next, higher than the VR update, higher than the Switch release, higher than absolutely everything that had come before it. The moment the new Corvettes arrived, half the player base came back, the other half bought friends, and someone's grandma probably logged in too just to build a space bus. Alongside the chaos came the brand new expedition entirely focused on Corvettes again, so collecting parts, assembling a ship, and getting players comfortable with those new tools. To sum all of that up, Voyagers wasn't just an update, it was a turning point. From a game that began with small ships and distant planets, suddenly giving players control of massive customizable starships to play with your friends completely changed what No Man's Sky felt like. It expanded the possibilities, and honestly, it possibly raised the bar for every other space game out there. Now, on top of those updates, there was also the Breach Expedition, which came after them all. But now that we've covered the updates one by one and basically given a slightly detailed overview and how the players reacted to it at the time, let's zoom out and talk about how 2025 actually felt like for No Man's Sky overall. Because, yeah, it was a very good year. Maybe not a perfect one, but it was very good on the whole. So let's break it down into the good and the not so good. And of course, I'll start with the good. And first up, the cadence. So the update cadence. Hello Games dropped content like they were going out of fashion. They were speedrunning Developer of the Year. We didn't get one big update. We got a whole buffet. Worlds Part 2 was huge. Voyagers was utterly game-changing. And the smaller updates filled the gaps nicely with a few expeditions and new gameplay hooks stuck on top for us to get stuck into. Even over the course of a single year, No Man's Sky has changed dramatically. This is probably one of the biggest differences year on year that the game has seen, with the exception of maybe like, I don't know, Origins or Next, something like that. I mean, I'd probably say this one, this is 2025, has been the biggest difference year on year. It's been absolutely massive. Another good thing when speaking directly about exploration and variety, for a lot of veteran players like myself, the biggest win was quite simple. The universe felt new, there were terrain changes, lighting upgrades, fresh biomes, space phenomena, brand new, incredibly deep oceans, and all this stuff basically reminded people why exploring is at the heart of No Man's Sky. I found myself playing a lot more this year overall. Like, I often come to it for a few months, take a break, come back, and so on and so forth. But this year, I haven't really stopped playing. It's been so good, and long may it continue. Now, again, of course, next good thing was the totally customizable ships, which were, well, are amazing and something that I've loved playing around with these last few months. But perhaps for the game as a whole, Voyagers brought the biggest player surge in the game's history. It wasn't just a bump, it was a whole cosmic boom. I never thought we'd see the day where we saw the player count go beyond the initial launch numbers, but that happened, and it's just a testament to Hello Games and their determination to make this game the best possible version of itself. And finally, just genuine quality of life improvements this year have been really good because almost everything got a little bit smoother. I mean, I play on PS5. It felt smoother to me. You may have a different opinion. You play on a different console or PC or whatever. But it felt like the whole game got a bit of a tune-up for me. Yes, there are definitely still things that need addressing, but this was an excellent year on the whole for quality of life improvements and a few bug fixes here and there. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, this year mostly it is, but there was some not so good things. And some of these are definitely nitpicks of mine and not major problems like at all. I'm just bringing them up for the sake of debate, I guess. But the first one was the smaller updates were, well, small. Relics and Beacon were good, just not like Worlds Part 2 or Voyagers good. They mostly added a little bit of flavour and not full meals. Some players expected more, but they still helped keep the year balanced. And yes, I know Hello Games are a small team and they also have half their team working on Lightning and Fire. So these smaller updates were exactly to be expected between the two juggernauts of Worlds Part 2 and Voyagers. Next, on some platforms, there were performance hits, so like the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and there were some bugs. Obviously, there's always bugs with No Man's Sky updates. I think the performance thing is because Hello Games are adding all this new tech, which a lot of it's going to come from Light No Fire. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One at this point just can't keep up because Light No Fire is not going to be coming out on those consoles, and we're trying to shove as much of that tech into No Man's Sky as possible. So obviously, it's going to be a performance hit, which is annoying. But here we are, I guess. It's bound to happen at some point. So it's a nearly 10-year-old game, still supported by other platforms. Technology is moving on. It is what it is. So yeah, like all that new terrain, that graphical overhaul, of course, is going to come with a price of performance hiccups on the older consoles. Like some planets kind of got a bit melty, and I've heard a lot of players are having a number of performance issues here, and are just general bugs when playing the game. And it is one gripe I have with Hello Games and updates. The updates get released, and all of a sudden there's loads of bugs. Does need a bit more of a QA or a better QA system in place. And finally, let's be real, those shiny new custom Corvettes are incredible, but they weren't cheap, and some players finally understood what it's like to take out a mortgage in space, assuming you don't play in creative mode. But also, inventory management and build part limits for these ships was a bit of a pain. It's a bit unclear whether these were added in for technical limitations. I mean, quite possibly, but having your ship's parts take up your ship's tech inventory seems a little backwards to me. Maybe you should have taken up in regular inventory. I don't know. Maybe that gets sorted in the future. I don't know. Again, it's a nitpick. It's just slightly annoying, I guess. But overall, 2025 was one of No Man's Sky's strongest ever years. It wasn't flawless, it was definitely ambitious, definitely surprising, and full of life. It felt like the game evolved again, not with hype, but with confidence. And for me, on a personal level, I think 2025 has been probably No Man's Sky's best ever year, if not, yeah, definitely the best, I think. So let's hope that continues into 2026 and beyond. And that's basically where No Man's Sky stands at the end of 2025. A universe that's bigger, brighter, smoother, more customizable, and honestly, more alive than it has ever been. But what about the future and going into 2026? Because if there's one thing we all know about Hello Games, it's that they never stop. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of hints, a whole lot of excitement building around what could be coming next. But I'm not going to dive into all that here. Instead, if you want a full breakdown of what 2026 and beyond might bring, from realistic predictions to wild possibilities, I've made a whole separate video going into every little detail. So if you're curious about the future of No Man's Sky, check out my video on what 2026 could look like for the game. And trust me, if 2025 was this wild, 2027 could be something just as special, or if not more so, once again. But that's just my take on No Man's Sky's massive 2025. Now I want to hear from you. How did you feel about 2025? Did Worlds Part 2 blow you away? Did Voyagers hook you back in? Or did you spend the whole year rebuilding your freighter base because Corvette suddenly made your last design look like a space shed? Whatever your experience was, good, bad, or somewhere floating awkwardly in low orbit, drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious how the community felt about this year, so don't be shy, I'll be reading through every single one. And that wraps up my look back at No Man's Sky in 2025. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. You can now become a channel member as well, and as always, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to catch you in my next one.